Welcome back to the Money Desk now, Devin Murugan. So consumers are on the wrong end of travel deals at the moment, from cancelled flights to holiday scams.
Indeed, they are. I mean, let's start with the holiday scams, Masego. The Hello Darlings debacle reaching boiling point this weekend. Would-be travellers, we've heard a lot of it over the last few days, in Johannesburg and Durban were left out of pocket, claiming the travel company owed them money after trips fell through, and then reservations were also not booked despite payment. I want to bring in Otto de Vries, who is the CEO of the Association of Southern African Travel Agents, just to get some insight on this. Otto, thanks very much indeed for making yourself available this afternoon. We've been through so much of these buyer beware advice. I mean, it goes on, but yet many still fall victim to such scams. And I see 95% of South Africa's travel sector are members of your association, ASATA. How important is it for consumers to look out for that stamp? How does that prevent scams?
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I've taken a lot of these interviews over the weekend, and I've done it intentionally because it is a very disturbing situation when our industry gets tarnished by the same black brush, when we have, the odd scenario where somebody comes along and creates absolute havoc for us and well-meaning customers who are hoping to spend their hard-earned savings on a holiday that they can enjoy and relax. So, for me, it's imperative that wherever we can, we get involved in having discussions around what it is that the consumers out there should really be looking for before they actually engage with the travel company. Yes, you are correct. We represent about 95% of the industry in terms of market share, but I have to say that we are a voluntary body. So the travel industry in South Africa is not regulated. And so the choice to be a member of ASATA is a voluntary decision that these businesses make. Having said that, the upside of it is that I can tell you that we, in 99.9% of the cases, find ourselves in these discussions and having these conversations specifically as it relates to non-ASATA members. So there is certainly merit to say that there is credibility to be an accredited ASATA agency. Our members are expected to comply with a code of conduct. We have a constitution that requires them to abide by the laws of the land, and it also that they are able to prove that they are a legitimate travel business that protects the interests of their customers. So we encourage people to please check whether the travel agent you're about to engage is a member of ASATA. Whilst not a guarantee, it's certainly a step in the right direction.
I hear you. So, I mean, you're pretty much out in the wild, given the fact that it's not regulated in this country. It's interesting that scammers or people who simply don't have the capacity to deliver on what they offer first, because let's remember that it doesn't always initially start off as a scam. Sometimes people just do not have the potential to deliver what they promise. I mean, typically they reveal themselves around the main holiday seasons, don't they? But it doesn't stop there. You've got to watch out for both ends of the spectrum here.
Yeah, absolutely true. Look, I think, again, I don't want to be preemptive in terms of assuming what has or hasn't happened here. But if I was to follow the news stories over the past couple of days, I have heard of lots of customers that have had very good experiences with this company in the past. The travel industry has been under immense pressure, and it's been extremely difficult for us to balance the expectation of the customer in terms of refunds and our ability or inability to secure those from suppliers who have chosen to adopt different policies, many of those having been the issuance of vouchers rather than refunds. So, this has placed us in a very precarious position, and it certainly makes me wonder if at some point what happened here is poor cash flow management, but to then double down and intentionally defraud people in the manner that she has is just absolutely unacceptable. So, for me, a couple of important tips just to keep in mind is, if people are starting to offer you sort of deals that are too good to be true, buy one, get one free. The travel industry doesn't work like that. There are no buy ones, get ones free. And it is imperative that people think very, very carefully about if it's too good to be true. Should I really be pursuing engaging this particular person or business in securing my holidays?
Yeah. I want to just pick your brain on something else here very quickly. Shift of focus here. You may have seen the grounded flights over the weekend. British Airways and Comair, and I understand that you're not, in that particular space, but of course you are in a space where you've probably dealt with grounded flights through agents and customers. A very frustrated bunch of would-be travellers at the airport this weekend, Otto. I mean, it's a very grey area, isn't it, when we try and get accountability on who pays for the losses of these potential travellers here, because it's not just the ticket, there's just a cascading effect on expenses here. What's the accountability area looking like here?
Well, I think this is one of the many frustrations that we face as a sector, because the Consumer Protection Act doesn't seem to fully cover airlines who somehow or another have a separate set of rules or regulations. To the best of my knowledge, how that affects customers from a consumer protection law still differs from everybody else. And I don't think that that has even been locked in yet. For me, the bottom line is, if you're unable to deliver the service, the customer should have a choice. Either they accept a voucher for future travel, or they should be fully refunded. For me, there's no grey area in that particular scenario, because ultimately, if you haven't delivered the service, then as far as I'm concerned, and you're unable to do so, your responsibility and obligation is to refund the passenger or to find an alternative arrangement for them, even if those alternative arrangements are more expensive than what you had originally booked for. That's not your problem. That's the airline's problem to resolve. And again, not even pointing fingers at Comair, I think that generally speaking, airlines are very, very poor at communicating challenges operationally with customers and dealing with them in a timeliest manner. There are complexities here that go well beyond what's going to happen over the next hour. Some of these situations present themselves in full well that the services will not be reinstated within the next 24 hours. I think it's imperative that that communication is then properly communicated to the travel agency community and the customers, so that they can make and begin to prepare to make alternative arrangements for their passengers.
All right, I'm going to have to leave it there. Very interesting insights indeed. Otto de Vries is the ASATA CEO. Thanks indeed for your time.